Okay, let's unpack this. What if the secret to, well, not just material wealth, but a truly rich life, a fulfilling life, was already right there within your grasp?
Mm.
What if there was this master key to unlock all kinds of abundance, and maybe it isn't about chasing external things, but cultivating something inside?
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here, the source material we're diving into today,
Oh,
these excerpts from Napoleon Hill's The Master Key to Riches, it just challenges our usual understanding of riches right
right.
from the start.
Right.
It suggests success isn't just, your bank balance.
Mhm.
It's about something much broader, more intangible, a kind of wealth we often overlook.
That's a really powerful way to frame it. So today we're taking these sources, your sources, and really embarking on a deep dive into Hill's philosophy.
Mhm.
Our mission really is to pull out the core insights, maybe some surprising facts, and those actionable principles he believed were key, not just for individual success, but for what he saw as the foundation of, well, the American way of life.
Yeah, he connected to that bigger picture.
Exactly. And you'll hear from some fascinating characters, industrial titans, even a mysterious masked rich man. They all seem to illustrate these timeless truths. So get ready to maybe rethink what you thought you knew about success. I redefining riches beyond the bank balance.
So,
So when you hear that word riches, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most people, I bet it's money, right? Property, things you can count.
sure, the tangible stuff.
But Hill's definition, it just goes so much deeper.
It really does. And it brings up that important question. What does riches truly mean, beyond the material? Hill expands it. He brings in things like liberty, freedom,
Mhm.
genuine human relationships, a free press, free schools, even free churches. He calls it the abundant life.
The abundant life.
Yeah, and he says it's everywhere available, at
Mhm.
least to the people of the United States he was addressing, and supposedly obtainable with a minimum amount of effort. It's a really holistic view of prosperity.
Okay, minimum effort sounds good, but probably not that simple. And then Hill takes us on this interesting historical comparison.
Yep.
He contrasts the American standard of living back then with past civilizations. He notes that in the past, civilization was confined to a relatively small percentage of the people who were, quote, under the heels of sovereigns.
hmm Stark contrast.
So what's the profound difference he points to? Why does he think we enjoy a standard of living which was unknown even to the kings of those days? What's the core reason?
Well, he argues the difference is in this unique societal foundation. If we connect that to the bigger picture, the source material defines the heart of the American system, his words, as a well-expressed faith, thrift, cooperation, confidence in each other, personal initiative, and a sense of fairness in human relationships.
Okay, so faith, thrift, cooperation, initiative.
Exactly. He seems to see those principles as the fundamental building blocks of what he's calling the American system or the American way of life. It's presented less as a political thing and more like universal values that he believed led to broad societal prosperity.
And maybe one of the most powerful insights, the one that really sticks with you, is that critique of conquest, the Napoleon Bonaparte anecdote,
Oh, yeah. That's striking.
where the author says he'd prefer being a poor French peasant with wooden shoes and a loving family over being, quote, that imperial impersonation of force and murder known as Napoleon the Great.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for you, what does that story really tell us about what makes a life truly rich, truly meaningful?
Well, it just powerfully underscores that point, doesn't it? That
Yeah.
happiness isn't necessarily tied up in material conquests or power.
Right.
It highlights this crucial principle Hill introduces. We have never yet found a truly happy person who was not engaged in some form of service by which others were benefited.
Service.
And the flip side, he notes, many people who are wealthy in material things have not found happiness.
So the real riches, they might be in the intangible stuff. Hill says the master key to riches enables its possessors to add to their own store of riches everything of value which they share with others. He calls it one of the strangest facts of life.
It is a strange fact, isn't it? A paradox.
It's fascinating. The more you share your knowledge, your time, kindness, whatever has value, the more it somehow multiplies and comes back. It's not about hoarding at all.
No, it's about generosity, almost exponential generosity.
Exactly. So it makes you think, where could you maybe start sharing a bit more to unlock this strangest fact of life?
Two,
Mm.
the foundation, mindset and purpose. Okay, so if the true riches are intangible, how do we actually get them? Hill brings in this really compelling figure, the masked rich man from Happy Valley. He kind of serves as our guide today.
Right, the masked man.
And he promises to reveal the secret of his riches, not just to the elite, but to everyday folks, taxi drivers, mechanics.
Yeah.
What's the deal with this masked figure? What truths does he start laying out? Well, this masked rich man introduces something called the fellowship. It's described as non-sectarian and non-commercial, something born out of necessity, really, after World War II, to help rebuild a war-worn world. Its purpose is to show the benefits available through the brotherhood of man. And the members, they're supposed to become a leader unto himself by sharing the benefits they get from using the master key.
So it's like individual growth fueling collective good.
Exactly. It's a vision of collective upliftment. Your growth helps everyone else.
Interesting. He also talks about something called plural personality, suggesting that you and every other person consist of at least two distinct personalities.
What's he getting at there? Is it like conscious and subconscious or something else?
Yeah, pretty much. He's hinting at that deep inner work, you
Yeah.
know, recognizing your rational, conscious self,
Uh-huh.
and then this deeper other self that's connected to what he calls infinite intelligence, like a source of intuition, limitless potential.
Okay.
It's about tapping into that deeper part of yourself for guidance. And this inner work, it starts with what Hill lays out as the 12 riches of life.
12 riches. Yeah. Though he only explicitly numbers one, the others are kind of woven in. But the first one, and arguably the most critical, is a positive mental attitude.
Right. PMA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He says it's the one and only thing over which any person has complete, unchallenged right of control.
Okay, he explains your mental attitude, converts the brain into the equivalent of an electromagnet. That sounds pretty intense. It attracts the counterpart of your dominant thoughts, aims, purposes, but also, crucially, the counterpart of one's fears, worries, and doubts. It sounds incredibly powerful, almost like your thoughts are literally magnets.
Yeah, the imagery is strong.
But, you know, for someone who is grappling with a lot of those fears, worries, and doubts, like Hill says, how practical is it to just control your mental attitude? Does he give you tools for that? How do you make that switch?
Well, he implies the tool really is self-discipline and conscious effort. You have to cultivate it. And beyond just the positive mental attitude, the source points to other riches that are vital for this internal shift, like the riches of self-discipline itself, knowing your mind can serve whatever end you want. The riches of play, becoming as a little child again.
Ah, play. That's interesting.
Yeah. And the riches of discovering your other self, that part that knows no such reality as permanent failure, and of course faith in infinite intelligence.
Okay, so it's a whole suite of inner qualities.
Mhm.
Beyond that individual attitude, though, Hill talks about other key riches, like harmony in human relationships.
Crucial.
And fascinatingly, he says it starts with oneself. It really echoes Shakespeare, doesn't it? To thine own self be true.
And it must follow, as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man.
Exactly. Internal alignment first.
And maybe most critical for just thriving day to day, he emphasizes freedom from fear. He lists those 7 basic fears he thinks hold us back: poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, loss of liberty, old age, death.
Yeah, the big ones. And he states it so bluntly, no man who fears anything is a free man. Wow. Are there any of these, maybe especially that freedom from fear, that you see as kind of foundational? Like you need that one to get the others?
Oh, absolutely. I think freedom from fear is key because it liberates your mind. It lets you pursue a labor of love, which Hill calls the highest form of human expression of desire and the forerunner of all human progress.
Finding passion in your purpose.
Exactly. You can't really do that if you're consumed by fear. And underpinning all of these is the need for an open mind on all subjects. Got to be willing to learn and adapt.
Right.
And connecting these ideas, remember the masked rich man? He talks about 8 princes that conditioned his mind to receive these riches.
8 princes, like internal guides.
Sort of, yeah. Think of them as specific thought patterns or virtues he deliberately cultivated. And they taught him this fundamental shift. Instead of always asking, what can I get? His focus became, what can I give?
Ah, the giving focus again.
Yes. That simple mental pivot, driven by gratitude, he says, was his secret to abundance. It's about training your mind, consciously, to prioritize contribution over acquisition.
Okay, so once you've worked on these internal riches, this mindset, how do you actually translate that into action, into tangible results? Hill argues the single most powerful catalyst for all achievement is definiteness of purpose.
Clarity.
He says, all of the great leaders in all walks of life, during all periods of history, have attained their leadership by the application of their abilities behind a definite major purpose. And the failures, they just go around and around like a ship without a rudder.
Yeah, aimless. It raises the obvious question then.
Right.
How do you actually get this definite major purpose?
Good question. Does he give us steps?
He does. The procedure, as he lays it out in the source, is pretty straightforward. First, write out a clear, definite statement of your major purpose in life. Sign it. Commit it to memory.
Okay, write it down, memorize it.
Repeat it out loud every day, putting all of your faith and infinite intelligence behind it. Second, write a clear, definite plan. Include a time frame, and be precise about what you intend to give in return. Remember his point. There is no such reality as something for nothing.
Give to get. Makes sense. What's third?
Third, make your plan flexible. Because infinite intelligence, as he puts it, might present a better plan along the way. You need to be open to that.
Be open. Okay. That reminds me of Andrew Carnegie's challenge to Hill himself. That opportunity, Carnegie said, could develop into riches so fabulous as to dwarf my material wealth.
Yeah.
By enabling Hill to penetrate the keenest minds and project your influence for good. Talk about a clear, massive purpose handed down from a titan.
Absolutely. And having that definiteness of purpose, the source notes, it develops all these other great qualities. Self-reliance, initiative, imagination, enthusiasm, self-discipline, concentration.
It focuses everything.
Exactly. It helps you budget your time toward that goal. Think of James J. Hill, the railroad guy, building a transcontinental railway against unbelievable odds.
Right. Or Alexander Graham Bell on the telephone.
These weren't just brilliant people. They had this unwavering definiteness of purpose that just, well, it moved mountains. Sometimes literally.
And Hill stresses that ideas themselves are the only assets which have no fixed values. They're the beginning of all achievements, and thoughts backed by faith have precedence over all others.
We see that so clearly in the story of Walter Chrysler. Started as a mechanic, right? Limited education, no rich backers. But he had this definite purpose. Design a better car. And because he knew where he was going before he started, Hill says, everything he needed just seemed almost miraculously placed in his hands.
Or Edward Bach with the Ladies' Home Journal, making it the greatest magazine of its kind, becoming this truly great American citizen, all through his own aims and careful planning based upon definiteness of purpose.
Yeah.
It really hammers home that dreamers have been the forerunners of all human progress. So it makes you pause and ask yourself, really ask, what is your definite major purpose? 3, action and collaboration, making riches real. Okay, so you have your definite purpose, but there's a crucial companion to that, something that translates intention into actual impact. Hill calls it the habit of going the extra mile.
Ah, yes, the extra mile.
Which means rendering of more and better service than that for which one is paid and giving it in a positive mental attitude. That last part feels important.
It is. The attitude matters. And he doesn't just see it as a business tactic. He presents it as almost a law of nature, part of nature's handiwork.
How so?
Like how a farmer works the land. They put in the effort without immediate payment, right? But they eventually reap a harvest because of nature's laws. Going the extra mile, Hill suggests, is similar. It proactively places others under obligation to him.
Obligation, maybe not in a negative way, but like building up goodwill.
Exactly. Offering value that wasn't strictly required, building credit, in a sense.
And the source is just packed with incredible stories. Charles M. Schwab started as a stake driver at day wages for Carnegie.
Day wages, yeah.
Climbed all the way to the top, earned $1 million bonus back then, just by consistently going the extra mile.
It's amazing. And then there's Frank W. Woolworth. He apparently stumbled upon the idea for the 5 and 10 cent stores by going the extra mile.
How did that happen?
The story implies he took some initiative, did something helpful beyond his basic duties, and that sparked the whole idea. Led to a fortune of over $50 million. He acted on his own initiative without being told.
Without being told. That seems key.
It wasn't about waiting for instructions. It was seeing an opportunity to serve more, to do better.
And that story about Carol Downs, the bank official who went the extra mile for William C. Durant, that one's really striking.
Outside of banking hours, right?
Exactly. He wasn't asked, wasn't paid extra. He just stayed late to help Durant courteously. And that seemingly small act led to him becoming Durant's close advisor and making, what, $10 or $12 million?
Incredible return on just being helpful.
He wasn't paid for staying late. No one told him to do it. It really makes you wonder, in our own lives, how many opportunities do we miss just because we're only doing what's explicitly asked or paid for?
Yeah.
How can we cultivate that extra mile habit in just small, consistent ways every day?
Well, it connects to that Emerson quote the source mentions. If you serve an ungrateful master, serve him the more. Put God in your debt.
Put God in your debt. Wow.
Every stroke shall be repaid. The longer the payment is withholden, the better for you. For compound interest on compound interest is the rate and usage of this exchequer.
Compound interest on good deeds.
Essentially, it implies the attitude of the person doing the extra service is everything.
Yeah.
They're not just doing more work, they're schooling himself for a better position and greater pay. It's an investment in yourself, always, regardless of the immediate reward.
That makes perfect sense. And this focus on service and contribution naturally leads right into another really powerful principle, the mastermind principle.
The mastermind, a big one for Hill.
He defines it as an alliance of two or more minds in a spirit of perfect harmony for the attainment of a definite purpose. And he really insists the key is harmony. How does this actually work? What's the mechanism?
Well, the mastermind principle, according to Hill, lets you procure the full benefit of the experience, training, education, specialized knowledge, and native ability of others, just as completely as if their minds were one's own.
Wow, like merging minds.
In a way, yeah. It stimulates inspiration, new ideas. It can even become a state of mind he calls faith. You're essentially leveraging collective intelligence, collective energy, focused on that definite purpose.
Okay, and he applies this in different relationships, but the source says the most profound, maybe the most beneficial application that any man may make is the mastermind alliance in marriage, provided the motive is love.
Yes, he highlights marriage specifically, and we see this illustrated so beautifully with Thomas Edison and his wife, Mrs. Edison.
Right, tell us about that.
She was apparently the major source of his inspiration. They held daily mastermind meetings. She acted as a sounding board, and often, the story goes, she supplied the missing link to problems he was stuck on.
Amazing.
It's even thought she was behind the bigger mastermind alliance between Edison, Henry Ford, Harvey Firestone, and John Burroughs. She facilitated that synergy.
Wow. And then there's that other really compelling example, the cosmetician couple who started poor during the Depression.
Yes, that's a fascinating one.
Their success came from this powerful mastermind alliance. The source describes the wife as sort of submerging her personality into her husband's, which maybe sounds a bit dated.
It does, but the essence...
Its essence seems to be about deep alignment and support for his vision, right? She intuitively knew how to boost his confidence, guide his ideas strategically.
Exactly, helping him become this great business tycoon, even though he apparently lacked business ability initially.
So what does that show us about the core of a supportive mastermind partnership, maybe beyond those specific historical roles?
Well, that story really highlights something else Hill says. The major difference between poverty and riches is merely the difference between an ego that is dominated by an inferiority complex and one that is dominated by a feeling of superiority.
The ego comes in.
Yes, and it also gives this really vital caution. Do not reveal the purpose of your mastermind alliance to those outside of the alliance. Why? Because of the idle, the scoffers, and the envious who stand on the sidelines.
Protect the energy.
Exactly. The power of that mastermind harmony is delicate. It needs protection from negativity to really thrive. 4. The ultimate power, applied faith and cosmic habit force.
Okay, now let's turn to applied faith. The source describes faith almost like a royal visitor, which enters only the mind that has been properly prepared for it, the mind that has been set in order through self-discipline.
It's not automatic.
Right, so this isn't just passive hope, is it? What does this kind of applied faith, this active faith, actually demand from us?
Well, the anonymous masked rich man, again, he details finding this enduring faith not in his bank balance, which he'd lost.
Right, after adversity.
But in nature itself. Seeing a tiny acorn become a giant oak, the intricate design of a fern, the power of water, the sun. That realization came after the loss, teaching him that crucial lesson. Every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent benefit.
The seed of benefit in adversity.
And Hill quotes Helen Keller here. Active faith knows no fear. It denies despair. Reinforced with faith, the weakest mortal is mightier than disaster.
Wow.
And this kind of faith, Hill says, it demands a willingness to risk whatever the circumstances demand. That could be liberty, material fortune, even life itself, It's an active, unwavering conviction in your purpose and in that larger intelligence.
That really resonates through those stories of the great American pioneers he uses. Henry Ford insisting on seemingly impossible tasks until his engineers finally did it.
Yep. Pushing boundaries with faith.
Or James J. Hill, the railroad builder, starting with, quote, no money, no influential friends, no record of great achievement.
Just the purpose.
Just the purpose. Building this vast transcontinental railway system basically by sketching it on a map he slept with and constantly feeding his mind with that desire, that faith.
Incredible focus. And Marshall Field, after the massive Chicago fire, standing there amidst the smoking ruins of his store,
Yeah, what did he do?
he just declared, over there where you see the smoking remains, I shall build the world's greatest retail store.
Yeah.
And he did,
Yeah.
purely on faith in that moment.
Amazing resolve. Or that young preacher who just kept speaking about the $1 million he needed for his school
And Philip D. Armour heard him.
and just gave it to him, leading to a great school founded on that spoken faith.
Yeah. And Helen Keller herself is just such a profound example. Blind, deaf, mute, yet finding this secret power from within through applied faith.
Learning to speak using touch.
Bridging these huge physical handicaps.
Yeah.
It just emphasizes Hill's point that great achievements always are born of hardship and struggle and barriers which seem insurmountable.
And Hill draws that stark contrast, doesn't he, between someone maybe begging in a wheelchair and Helen Keller's monumental achievements. He says the ultimate difference is entirely a difference of mental attitudes.
Right.
One man chose fear as his guide, the other chose faith. He's essentially arguing our internal choice of mindset is the real decider, isn't it? More than the external situation.
That seems to be the core argument, which connects directly to the law of cosmic habit force. Now, what's the simplest way to get our heads around that? It sounds big, cosmic. Is it just about habits?
Think of it like nature's or the universe's way of hardwiring things, making them automatic. Once you repeat any thought or action enough, good or bad, this cosmic habit force locks it in. It becomes your default setting.
Okay, so it applies to everything.
Yeah, and the profound takeaway is every man is where he is and what he is because of his established habits of thoughts and deeds. Your reality reflects your ingrained habits.
Oof, that's sobering. It means your dominant thoughts, even subconscious ones like fears or poverty consciousness, they literally get translated by this force into their physical equivalent, your reality.
Exactly. But the good news, the whole point of the philosophy, is to help you consciously form the right kind of habits. Habits that will actually move you from where he is to where he wishes to be in life.
Like Henry Ford again, who apparently lives on the side of the street opposite the things he does not want.
Meaning he actively avoids dwelling on negativity. He starves those negative thought habits.
That's the idea. Consciously choosing where to focus your mental energy, building positive habits instead.
Which points again to the importance of the ego in Hill's philosophy. He sees it not necessarily negatively, but as the composite effects of all principles coordinated into one single unit of power.
So a strong, directed ego is good.
Yes. Highly successful people, he argues, have a well-developed and highly disciplined ego that they deliberately feed, shape, and control.
It's like the cosmetician couple again. The wife's genius was essentially in feeding her husband's ego, right? Turning that inferiority complex into a feeling of superiority.
It unlocked their success.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It suggests the mental environment you create for yourself and in your alliances directly shapes your reality. It all comes down to what Hill calls accurate thinking.
Accurate thinking, meaning what?
Separating facts from, well, fiction or opinion, and then identifying which facts are actually important for your purpose. And it's tied, again, to self-discipline.
Always back to self-discipline.
You can consciously make your thought habits to order, he says, and they'll carry you towards your goal. Or you can let random circumstances make your habits for you.
And drift into failure.
And they will carry you irresistibly into the failure side of the great river of life. So it's a stark choice he presents.
So this whole deep dive really reveals the incredible power Hill saw in the mind. The subconscious is the link to infinite intelligence, the channel for prayer. Willpower as the boss, controlling your emotions.
The director.
And emotions as the source of enthusiasm, imagination, and creative vision. Mastering all these faculties through that constant theme of self-discipline, that's the path he lays out.
And as a final powerful example, the source cites Alcoholics Anonymous. He calls it a miraculous demonstration of the mind's power achieved through self-discipline.
Right.
And his logic is simple. If the mind, through self-discipline, can cure something as powerful as alcoholism, then surely it can cure poverty and ill health and fear and self-imposed limitations.
Yeah.
Outro.
So, wrapping this all up, what does it really mean? Napoleon Hill's Master Key to Riches, it feels like more than just a philosophy. It's presented as a practical roadmap.
It really is.
And it starts with understanding that true riches, they just extend so far beyond money. They encompass liberty, relationships, that abundant life defined on your own terms.
It really underscores the critical role of your inner world, doesn't it? Cultivating that positive mental attitude, defining a clear purpose, embracing the power of active, applied faith, consciously shaping your ego. It's about recognizing that fundamental idea. We are where we are and what we are because of our fixed habits.
But crucially,
That we have the power to mold those habits with intention.
and it also highlights the power of putting that inner work into action, collaborating, going the extra mile.
Yeah, whether anyone's watching or not.
Knowing that compound interest will eventually pay you back somehow, and forming those mastermind alliances, understanding that, well, no man is smart enough to project his influence very far without the friendly cooperation of other men.
It's about giving more to receive more and partnering with real purpose and harmony.
Exactly. Ultimately, this deep dive really shows us that Hill believed the power from within is the one medium through which the effects of cosmic habit force may be changed from a negative to a positive application instantaneously.
Your thoughts really are presented as the master key.
So maybe our final thought for you, the listener, to mull over is this. What one thought habit, just one, if you truly committed to changing it right now, could instantaneously shift your trajectory toward the abundant life you desire starting today?